Welcome back to Simply Green Radio, brought to you by Simply Green Energy and Mr. Rooter Plumbing. Brendan O'Riordan in studio with you on this Sunday evening, hoping that you are enjoying your Sunday. In studio again tonight with Maurice Aubry, also Pete Marisi, True Story Pete. Brenna Hartman, a former Fixie Chick, founder of HealthyHomesOfRochester.com. And also in studio with us tonight, we will introduce Mike Parks, the Director of Renewable Energy at VP Supply Company. And again, folks, to join our conversation tonight, you can pick up the phone, 222-1180. Again, that number, 222-1180. And as we went to break, I'll let either all three of you, I guess, answer this. Just in terms of, we were talking about global events, bringing up the price of energy. Really, this is why renewable energy is as beneficial as it can be.
That's true. Hey, would you like to hear one of my little factoids I found out this week?
Sure.
We love them, Pete.
About enough energy coming from the sun. Enough energy lands on the earth in the form of sunlight in a couple of hours to meet all the world's energy needs for a whole year. 2 hours of sunlight
Pete,
is enough.
I really think that you're in the running with Brenna on these little facts. But that's pretty good.
It's just a question of how you harvest it.
Well, and that's probably a great way to bring in Mike, because, we got talking off air a little bit.
Right.
And, Mike, you mentioned something about your nuclear reactor.
Yeah, we're all in big trouble if my nuclear reactor shuts down, because I use the sun. That's my nuclear reactor. It's either going to get really cold or it's going to get really hot if we have a problem with that one.
We have a problem with that when we're all in real trouble.
Yeah, I've got quite a warranty on my reactor.
Good. Well, that's good. Well,
let's get started right away, Mike. I want to ask you, because one of the most impressive things, I've known you for years. You've been on the forefront of this industry in our area. You're very familiar with all sorts of renewable energies, from wind to geothermal, and especially the solar. You've done quite a few installations as well as design systems all over, up and down, even out of the state, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that I think is great, besides all that wonderful stuff, is that you have a nice home in a regular neighborhood, on a regular street with a church and a school, and you are at net zero.
That's correct.
Can you tell our listeners what net zero is and how you got there, real quick?
Net zero
Hurry
is...
it up. No, just kidding.
Net zero is being able to make enough energy over the course of the year to be able to be self-supportive. It doesn't mean that we're not connected to the utility companies. I heat my home with biomass. It's recycled material, and it's carbon neutral. It's using recycled material, and you can grow trees at a faster rate than what you are actually burning the material at. And using photovoltaic to power a home, I use roughly 6,000 kilowatt hours a year, and we produced 6,400 kilowatt hours last year off our photovoltaic.
The photovoltaic is PV, otherwise known as in this radio program, if anybody has any questions about that or is wondering. Those are your beautiful solar panels.
Correct.
And I think we have a caller.
Yes, we do.
Asking about solar panels.
Let's welcome in Greg. Greg, welcome to Simply Green Radio.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, my question is, I heard the solar panels are kind of ugly looking. If you put them up, they're just big. And now, is that true, or can you make them kind of attractive?
What do you call attractive?
Well, yeah, a friend of mine has a neighbor that put them up, and he said they're ugly.
Well, I'd like to answer that, Greg. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and when you look at your electric bill and it reads zero, or the power company owes you a few pennies, I think that you're going to like those panels a whole lot better.
Yeah, but what if your neighbors don't like them?
They can get their own.
You have to have a permit to put them up.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely would want to get a permit.
Who am I speaking with now?
This is Mike Parks. Mike, yes, go ahead, Mike.
He's our expert.
Yeah.
Oh, how you doing, Mr. Parks?
I'm doing good, Greg. How you doing?
Good, sir.
I've seen solar panels in all kinds of shapes and configurations, and I think when people hear solar panels, they get this picture of this thing on the roof.
Yes.
Now you get into a historical building or a slate roof, Mike, or you get into these situations where the panels would be inappropriate. There's other ways to do that. As a matter of fact, I saw a picture of what you did in your own house, and I'll tell you, that opened up a whole new world for me in how to configure panels.
Thinking outside the box.
Talk about that, Mike. Talk about what you did in your yard.
Oh, you're talking about my outdoor cabana?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a complete out structure that's not even onto the building. So it's all wrapped in cultured stone and granite
Beautiful.
countertops and concrete.
It's actually a bar, isn't it, with a grill?
And the roof is keeps us from the weather. We actually have LED TV out there and spend some time outdoors.
Yeah, because I tell you, one of the things that always concerned me about the panels was, what if I have to change my roofing material? I've got all these panels in the way, roof leaks because we're making holes in the roof. But when I saw that you had that second structure and you used the panels as a roofing material, I saw a picture of a building today where they used them as a shade over the windows. They had them at an angle. Awnings. Yeah, they had them like awnings. I mean, it's you can get really creative with this kind of thing, can't you?
Yeah, the whole purpose of using the awning over your windows for the solar is to keep the sunlight out in the summertime, so you don't get heat into it. So if you do your calculations right, when the sun gets lower in the atmosphere in the wintertime, it will now allow the sun into your windows and help heat the home. But in this time of year, it starts getting up high enough and collecting more energy. So it's got a 2-for-1 application.
Yeah.
They've also have skylights that are solar panels, so that they're actually will let light through. They're see-through, and they're getting pretty popular. A little on the pricey side.
Probably pretty fair, safe to say that the technology is growing in leaps and bounds, and it seems like almost every day something else is coming out. Is that fair to say, Mike?
That is fair to say, yeah. One of the things I'd be concerned about, everybody's like always waiting for the next technology.
Right.
And the better the technology is, the just more money it costs.
Sure.
Right. So if you can get it into a smaller footprint, you're almost better off using the technology that's been around for 30 years. I know systems that were put up. I know a system that was put up in Canada back in '82, and I got a call on that because it went down finally. And what had happened, it got struck by lightning, and one of the diodes burned out in the panel. And we were able to actually cut the back of the panel out, put a new diode in, and that system is still running today. So it's still making power for a telecom.
That's amazing.
Right, and there's no maintenance, no moving parts.
And Mike, I'd like to talk a little bit about when we installed those panels when we were getting our training. I'll never forget, we were up on a roof all, with our safety ropes, and thank goodness that we did have them on, because one of your co-part there, when we went to hook up the last panel to the wire,
he forgot to turn the sun off.
He forgot to turn it off, and I'll tell you what, I was amazed because the sun was going down, it was setting, and I thought for sure, these things quit making power a while ago, and boy, let me tell you something, I had to grab a hold of him because he got a good jolt. Why is that?
Like I said, you can't turn the sun off. So
you can't turn it off.
Yeah, we can get up to 600 volts. So you're talking some pretty heavy voltage coming off these.
So you really don't need bright sunlight to generate electricity with a solar panel, right? Because we're dealing at the wavelengths.
It was a cloudy day the day we were doing that.
Right.
Yeah,
and it was getting dark, and I couldn't believe that he got a good jolt out of that panel.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's based on 1,000 watts per square meter. That's just the standard how they rate. If it's cloudy, it may be 200 watts per square meter. So, you're going to get 20 watts out of that panel instead of 100.
And, I'm wondering about PV solar in the winter. You explained to me a scenario the other day on how much energy you produced on a sunny, cold day in Rochester, New York.
Well, December for this month was really bad for me. I think I made 100 kilowatt hours for the entire month. Last Tuesday, I made 40 kilowatt hours in one day. So for basically, I made half of December's power in one day because we had snow that had fallen. It was a clear day out, and we had all kinds of reflection from the sunlight. So I actually overproduced what the panels were rated for.
So what happens when you overproduce, Mike? Where does it go?
The utility company takes it and sells it to my neighbors.
Oh, you make them eat it. You send it right back. So you are, in fact, a power plant.
Yeah, it actually is the only form. Net metering is the only form of physics that's actually broke, right? Because it takes more energy in than what you get out. Well, they take every bit of the energy that you make and they give it back to you free of charge. No taxes, no delivery, no surcharge, even up. And that's what makes it very, very attractive. Like I said, I made 100 kilowatt hours, right, for the month of December, and I may make 1,000 kilowatt hours in June.
Now, when you say a kilowatt, let's define what a kilowatt is, because it's a term that we're going to throw around a lot.
Yeah, it's a term. I mean, that's what you're paying for. You have a utility bill, and you're paying for kilowatt hours. So you'll have a charge for how much you're going to pay per kilowatt hour. That's 1,000 watts for a 1 hour period.
Right. So I was looking for an example in my house to explain, to give you a mental picture. And as I'm walking through the house, I see this hair dryer, and it's 1,000 watts. And if I run that for an hour, that's a kilowatt hour. Or I can take a 100-watt light bulb and run it for 10 hours. It's still a kilowatt hour.
Or you could take my 12-watt LED that's equivalent to a 100-watt and run
how
it for
long
a long
you
time.
run it? A long time.
Yeah, which is back into every dollar that you spend in energy reduction in your home, right, will save you $5 on production. So you can start knocking the cost of what you actually need to be that net zero energy by doing energy reduction first.
Now, Mike, you should probably talk a little bit about, how you mentioned that you're at net zero, but as you bring up some interesting points, you don't still have the same light fixtures and energy appliances that you had prior to doing all this, correct?
Correct. I spent roughly $1,000 on a bunch of LED light bulbs, and my neighbors think I'm nuts because I got all these light bulbs I'm testing out all the time, and they're like, well, it's a 10-year payback, and to spend $1,000 and get 10-year payback, that doesn't really make any sense. But a PV system installed at the time was roughly $7 a watt, turnkey, and so I spent $1,000. And it saved me $7,000 worth
on the
of
backside.
on the backside for what I'd have to construct to be net zero energy.
222-1180, the number to call if you want to join in on the conversation. Again, that number 222-1180. This is Simply Green Radio, brought to you by Simply Green Energy and Mr. Reuter. We are in studio tonight with Maurice Aubry, also with Pete Morisi, True Story Pete, and also Brenna Hartman, and Mike Parks, the Director of Renewable Energy at VP Supply Company. And we do have a caller on hold, John. John, we're going to ask you to please be patient. We just need to cut away for a quick break, but we'll be back with more of Simply Green Radio here on Ask the Experts on News Radio 1180 WHAM.